A Year with God, Day 42. The reading from today comes out of Genesis chapter 18, and it's when Abraham is negotiating with God over the fate of Sodom and Gomorrah. And they're going back and forth, and it starts out with God kind of talking to himself. And he asks himself the question, am I going to hide from Abraham that which I'm about to do? And obviously he chooses not to, and so he shares with Abraham that he is visiting Sodom and Gomorrah. And then Abraham starts negotiating for Sodom and Gomorrah, asking, God, will you destroy it if there are 50 righteous people? Or what about 45? Well, what about 40? And he keeps going. And it's a text that I think is talked about fairly regularly. In the commentary reading, they made an interesting observation. Made a statement that I thought was kind of interesting. It talks about the story, and they say, it reminds us that the one who calls us into a relationship, talking about God, the one who calls us into a relationship is a conversation partner in word and deed. I thought that was a very interesting way of phrasing things. That God is partners with us in word and in deed, and invites us into a partnership with Him in word and in deed. And that prayer then becomes part of that partnership with God. We tend to look at least in the tradition that I came from, we tend to look at prayer as trying to get God to intervene on our behalf. Prayer is all about us asking God to do something for us. And when I think of petitionary prayer, that's what I still have a tendency to think of. And honestly, that's one of the reasons I struggle with petitionary prayer, is that it seems like it's very easy for petitionary prayer to become self-motivated, for us to focus just on what I want, and for my prayers to become about that, about what I want. But here, they're presenting something completely different. The idea that prayer is not, even petitionary prayer, is not about me getting God to do things for me, but rather about a partnership that exists between me and God in what we are doing together, in what He is trying to do in and through me, in what I am asking for Him to do in the world around me. But it becomes not about me trying to get God to do things for me, but rather it becomes about a partnership. And that prayer is that partnering, or a big part of that partnering between me and God in what's going on in the world around me. So, those were my thoughts on day 42.